Hello everyone. It's Melissa Faust from stampwithmelissa.com and welcome to Funfold Frenzy Craft Along Day 1. If you are, used to my channel and all that, you'll know that this video is actually going up during my regular time. Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central is when I do a live video each and every week. And so that is also day 1 of our Funfold Frenzy Craft Along. Say that 5 times fast. As you join this video, whether you're watching it right away when it releases or if you are watching later, please leave a comment, say hello. I do go back and look at those, so I love to see where you're watching from and all that good stuff. So hello everyone. I'm so excited to have you join me tonight and for the rest of this week because the Funfold Frenzy is epic. It's so good. I partnered with 3 other demonstrators to bring you the projects this week. We each designed 2 fun folds featuring a couple of bundles from our online exclusives and some really pretty papers and all that good stuff. So in just a second, I am going to get started. It is day 1, so I'm going to show you the kit. If you ordered a craft along kit with me, it will look very familiar to you. And if you didn't order a kit, I'm going to show you what everyone got so that you know, what's happening. So what did I want to say? If you did order that craft along kit, you would have received an email with both the supply list for the 4 nights of videos as well as the PDF. So feel free to have that printed and ready to go. That supply list will help you out, just making sure you have everything prepared ahead of time. If you are crafting along with the videos, great. Otherwise, there's so many ways you could do this. You could watch and then craft along later with the PDF. You can craft along live. However you want to do it is great. If at any time you're like, uh-oh, I'm not caught up, you're going too fast, just click pause on the video and then you can click resume on it when you're ready to go, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and flip my camera down here so you can see me and my desktop. It's awfully bare right now because I want to show you everything that the folks who took the craft along got. The kit's going to look really pretty tonight, and then after we start cutting into it, it's going to get a little, it's going to get fun because we're going to use our stuff, right? All right, so everyone who registered for the craft along kit got 2 half packs of DSP. So we've got this beautiful, cute as can be paper, and we've also got the Floral Charm DSP. So pretty. So if you registered with me, you have a piece of chipboard. Oops, let's get that in the camera. You have a piece of chipboard that is in between separating the 2 DSPs, just because as you go through the PDF tutorial, if I reference a certain pack, you'll probably want to, know which paper goes with which. So we are going to, I don't think we do it tonight. I'm just checking. I think tonight we use this paper on one card and then the other paper on the other card, but there are a couple of projects where we are going to mix and match DSPs from both packs. So that'll be helpful when we get to that, okay? All right, you also got this really nice plastic envelope here. It is reusable, kind of, button snap. It's so cute. I got this idea from Erica Serwin, who I partnered with on this. But you've got this guy in here. It's got 24 sheets of cardstock. We went through and made sure you'd have enough cardstock to create your projects exactly as we did. If you'd like to mix and match anything, like if you're like, okay, that card is really cute and Petunia Pop, but I want to make it an Old Olive, go ahead and do that. But just know that later on, if you need Old Olive, you might not have it. So you'll have to pull from your own stash, okay? You've also got 8 envelopes here for all 8 of the cards. And you've got a little baggie here of all the die cut and punched pieces that you will need that are not part of the bundles. So I know we're not done showing the kit off yet, but let's talk about those bundles for a second. We are using both the Just a Note and Charming Day bundles. These are so fun. Look at those dies. Come on. I've already got my stamps mounted for today too, so that's why you'll notice several are missing. But we've got these really awesome sets that we are using. So any of the die cut pieces from these, we did not do ahead of time for you. So we're going to do those live during the videos, during the craft alongs. You'll want to grab those out and do those with us, okay? All right. The last thing, last but not least, that you received was a cute little baggie with some fun things inside, right? So let's open it up. I know it's kind of hard sometimes to open up your kits, but how I glued it down, hopefully you're able to just slide that open and then, have access inside. So let's take a look here. We have got, let's get it all out. We've got gifts in here, we've got candy in here, and we've got some product in here as well. So I'm going to close this up again and move this. I have a TV tray here tonight, guys, because it's crazy. So I was like, I need like another work surface, so I got one over here. Anyway, so for this, let's start with the product. You're going to have 2 rolls of ribbon. This is the classic basic beige, and then, oh my gosh, the Petunia Pop, probably my favorite ribbon ever. I love the texture of this. If you're not great at tying bows, this is very forgiving. Even if you are great at tying bows, this is just such a nice ribbon to do that with. And then you've also got the Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots here. Look at how pretty they just sparkle. Now for me personally, when I craft along, these are obviously brand new, right? I'm going to use from what I already have cut open, just so you know. So I'm going to pull from like my partially used embellishments and whatnot, just so you know. But anyway, you can break into those, or if you already have them, you can use what you already have open as well. Okay, then you got this super cute paper clip that we decorated for you. Just a note with that Charming Day bundle. So stinking cute, right? And then you got this, and you might be like, what the heck is it, Melissa? This is really, really neat. And, you know, this is kind of back to school themed craft along. So you might recognize these from the classroom. But what you do, you're going to pop open those long edges, and then you're going to open up these short edges and clip them in. Maybe. This one looks jammed, so maybe I can't. Oh, no, there we go. Hold on. There we go. User error. You're going to clip these in, and then you have a cute little collapsible bin. How stinking cute is that? I'm going to store some of my supplies in here, because seriously, it's a nightmare over here. So I'm going to store some of my supplies in here as we go along tonight. But, you know, you can use it for whatever you would like, but it's just so cute. It's so stinking cute. And last but certainly not least, it is a back to school fun fold frenzy. Not every card we do is going to be back to school themed, but you could do that. So I sent you some nerds, because nerds, they're like a great school candy, right? Nerds. Anywho, so those are our cute little gifty poos here. And I'm going to slide a few things. Hopefully they don't all come crashing down and tumbling. And let's take a look at the PDF here, okay? So as I mentioned, if you registered for that craft along kit, you received an email already with links to both the supply list here. This is today, Tuesday, August 26th. So those are the cards we'll do today. And you also received the link to the PDF. Now you can print it out. You can view it on your computer, a tablet, whatever you want to do with this. This YouTube link down here will take you directly to my playlist of all 4 of my videos. But you can see it's awesome. So I partnered with Erica Serwin, Rhonda Wade, and Ange McKay on these craft-alongs. We're going to start with Ange's cards today, but look at this. It is, I think, 26 pages. It is awesome. Just detailed instructions. You see the diagram in there of each and every card. That was a really bad flip through. Pretend I did better at it. But look at that. Look at how awesome it is. So we are going to get started here with this card. But I wanted to mention to you, if you did not register for the Craft Along kit and you want this PDF, there are 2 ways you can get it. The first way is you can get it for free with an order in my online store. So just like I do each and every week with my Class to Goes, but this week it is this incredible PDF. So if you place a $50 order in my online store through the end of the day this Friday, August 29th, you will get the PDF tutorial sent to you for free as a thank you gift from me. So that $50 is before tax and shipping and after any Stampin' Rewards are redeemed. And then the second way you can get it is maybe you're a demonstrator or whatnot, or you live in a different country or whatever it is, you can actually purchase this PDF directly from my PDF store for $25. Both of those links are in the description of this video, so make sure you go and check those out, okay? But we are going to start with this card. You can see kind of, I'll just show you for this first card how the layout is. We've got the picture, we've got the supplies, we've got the measurements, and then we've got the instructions. And we've got that for each and every card. And because they are fun folds, sometimes we've got additional pictures, we've got just a whole bunch of fun and different things, okay? So I'm going to set up my, oh, it does not want to stand up. Stay there, buddy. Hold on. Malfunction. I got to get this to stand unless let's try. I need something tall. Let's try that's so silly. I'm going to put my gray mat behind it. Got it. My 3D, you know, whatever, for embossing 3D. I put that up on my stand behind it so it can't fold. So anywho, let's take a look at the supplies for day one's videos. Today we are going to we're going to do some heat embossing. We're going to do it today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. So days 1, 2, and 3 all have heat embossing. I hope you love it, because we do. So we need our Versamark, we need white embossing powder, and we need a heat tool. Those are back behind me. We're also, for ink pads, we're going to want Petunia Pop, Old Olive, Pecan Pie, Berry Burst, Tuxedo Black Memento, because we're going to do some coloring. So with that, we've got our Petunia Pop and our Old Olive blends. And you're also going to want some sort of punch. This is the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, some sort of punch to do a little finger notch for our second project, okay? All right, let me scoot things off to the side here. Seriously, it's a lot over there. Okay, so I'm going to scooch this away, and we are going to start with cutting our pieces. Oh, you know what? I wanted to do this. Hold on. Go back a little bit. I showed you the PDF, and these are the cards we're making. So this is what I'm going to show you all of the cards that we're going to make. I did make them ahead of time just so that I could practice with them. They are fun folds. So this is one of the ones we'll make tonight. This one we're going to make tonight as well. So it's actually a gift card holder over here. You can see that little finger notch spot. That's what we need that punch for. These are tomorrow's cards. So we've got some fun ones here. Okay, how cute. And then these are day 3's cards. So this one flips up like this and then like this. How cool is that? Okay, we've got this one. This one I'm not going to open for you. It's one that I designed. You have to come back on Thursday to find out. All right, we've got this one. Basically, it looks like pretty average on the outside. It does something really cool when you open it. We've got this really fun one here, and we've got this one as well. So these are the 8 cards we're going to make over the series. They are incredible. You are going to love them, and this is why you want the PDF, because it's got all of the measurements covered for you, all of the supplies if you want to make your cards exactly like we did. They fell over, but I think they're all right. Okay, hold on. Let me clean up on aisle 12, right? Okay, so we are going to start with this card here. We're going to go ahead and cut all of the cardstock pieces for both of the cards today, just because I'm just like that. I just want to get all the cutting done, and then we'll go ahead and do, the stamping and whatever for each card as well. So let's start. This one here is going to be our first card, so you're going to want your trimmer, and then we're going to grab our envelope here, and I am going to just grab out my cardstock to start. We want Pecan Pie. We're going to start with the first card, so I'm going to just pull the pieces we want for the first card. We want Pecan Pie, Basic Beige, Basic White, and we don't have any thick white this time, so just the white you have in there is your white. We want Berry Burst. We want Old Olive, and then we're going to do some DSP, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let me scooch these. Let's start with cutting our cardstock, and then we'll move on to cutting our DSP, okay? All right, so for this card, we want to cut a piece that is 4 1/4 by 11, and then score that piece in half at 5 1/2. This is our card base. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab my envelopes out just as I cut pieces so that I can separate them into the proper envelopes. Keep it all together, right? Okay, so we've got our first piece here, our card base. I'm going to slip that into the envelope, and I'm just setting it up here. It's going to be out of frame, but okay. And then we want 1 1/4 by 11. So I'm going to use the right hand side of my trimmer to cut this at 1 1/4. Okay, move that blade out of the way, and we are going to score this one. And let me get that where it can lay flat-ish. We are going to score this at 2 3/4, 5 1/2, and 8 1/4. Alrighty, and then we want some squares. So with our remaining piece here, we want 4 2 1/4 inch squares. So I'm going to cut this at 2 1/4 and then turn it, and we're going to cut 4 pieces at 2 1/4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so this is what you have left for your pecan pie. Not very much, but hey, a scrap's a scrap, right? We can all find a use for it. Okay, so we've got that. Then we want our basic beige. And we are going to turn, we're going to cut at 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, there's that piece. And then we're going to cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, and then we want, I'm just trying to pick the best way. We're going to take our remaining and we're going to cut at, I'm going to go this way. We're going to cut at 2 1/8. We want 2 2 1/8 squares. Does that make sense? So we want 2 squares that are 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. That might be a better way to say it. All right, so we've got those. We want approximately 3 3/4 by 3 1/2 for die cutting. So that's 3 1/2 by 3 3/4. You could also just use a scrap piece. You don't have to cut that piece down if you don't want to. And then we want a 2 inch square for stamping. Look at that. That was 2 inches that way. So we'll just do another 2 inches that way. Okay. Alrighty. So there's all those pieces. And I'm just going to put all my scrap pieces back in my envelope once I'm done. I'm just looking at my cutting list, making sure I have all the cuts. Okay, then we want basic white. And we are going to cut down a scrap here. So we're going to go 3 1/2 by 3 3/4. And again, feel free to pause if you need to do any measurements or anything. Okay. And then we have our berry burst. We're going to use a lot of this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut at 5 1/4 by 4. We need 3 pieces that are 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, there's those. Here's this one. I'm going to cut at 4, turn it and do 5 1/4. And then we need a piece for die cutting. This is our scrap piece that we have left. I think I'm just going to put the whole thing in, but we just need this little flower. So I'll just put the whole thing in my little envelope here, but we don't need that big of a piece. Okay. All right. And then for our old olive, we need some scraps for our leaves. So we've got these 2 leaf die cuts here, and I believe that's it. So let's cut these at, I don't know, we can go like 2 1/2. Let's just cut this in half, 4 1/4. Just a scrap piece there, okay? All right, so that is that. And then we need to cut some DSP for this card. So we are going to use the Floral Charm DSP here. So the beautiful florals. And let me scooch and grab the piece we need. This one right here. So pretty. This paper is just so cute. Okay, so this is where we're going to use those. So we need 2 2 1/8 inch squares. Okay, so I am going to cut this at 2 1/8. And then we can turn it and cut at 2 1/8. And we want these, I mean, they're square, so you can really cut it however. I started by cutting a portrait, but you can cut them whichever way. And we want one piece for the back here that is 1 by 5 1/4. So that is the Blackberry Bliss piece that has a little bit of the flowers here. This guy right here, okay? And this one I want landscape. So I'm going to put in at the 1 inch side. and trim that. And then we're going to cut at 5 1/4. Okay. Phew-ta. We've got all the pieces cut. This card is super, super stunning. It is a wow card for sure, but I don't have room, so I have to do a little bit of cleanup before we cut for card number 2. Because it is just, I just need a bigger desk, you know? You know how it goes. Just need more space. Okay, so for card number 2, here it is right here, we want Old Olive. Okay, we have some right here. Hopefully that's enough. We'll find out, right? And then we need some scraps. Look at that. We'll just put our Old Olive here. We need some Basic White, which we have left over from our first card. We need some Petunia Pop. Petunia Pop is probably the winner for like the most used cardstock color in this craft along because it's perfect. And then we need some Pretty in Pink. Okay. All right. Let me grab my envelope here because we also need a die cut piece from here. So I'm just going to pull out my little baggie. And let's take a look-see-poo here. So we want to start with our Old Olive, and we want 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Here, let's put that one on top so you can see it. Okay, come here, buddy. Couldn't pick it up. Okay, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then we want 3 1/2 by 1 1/2. So that's not quite. So we'll cut this at 1 1/2. Twist that and cut at 3 1/2. And then we're going to score this at 1 1/2 inches. Okay, just like that. So you got the square over here and a longer bit there. All right. Then we want a Stylish Shapes banner. So that's going to be in your little die cut pack. Oh, I just ripped it. Oopsies. That's all right. Okay. So we want this guy right here. Okay. And then we want a little scrap piece. I want to make sure I got that actually in the envelope. Yes, I did. We want a little scrap piece. We're going to die cut this heart and arrow. And this is actually just a teensy tiny little leftover piece I had from cutting something else. So that's what I'm going to use. Okay. For Basic White, we want a 2 1/2 by 5 1/4 inch piece. So we're going to cut 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. All right. And then we need a piece for die cutting, and we want something that's a little bit larger because it's actually for our page here. And actually we need to die cut out 2 of those. So I'm going to just take this whole big section here. We're not going to need this whole thing, and it's not going to fit in my envelope, so I'll put it behind. But you want like a little bit bigger because we're going to die cut out 2 of those notebook pages, okay? Alrighty, and then we have Petunia Pop, and we want 2 3/4 by 11. And we're going to score that in half at 5 1/2. Okay. And then we want a scrap for die cutting. And again, that's going to be for that notebook die. And that is roughly, I'm going to just cut it at 3 inches here. And that should be good. So that's our scrap for that. Okay, and then for our Pretty in Pink, we just need a little scrap piece. So you can kind of cut this wherever. We're going to die cut this tag, a couple of arrows, a paper clip, a star, a heart. So I'm going to go, I don't know, let's go 2 1/2 by 4 1/4 again, just for kicks. Just because we can, right? All right, so there's our piece for die cutting. Let me get all of this stuff into our envelope, and then we'll cut the DSP for this one, and then we're ready to roll and get on with our assembly. Okay, so there's that. For our DSP, we're going to use the B side this time. Not like B as in the alphabet letter B. the B as in B-E-E. Okay, we want a couple of pieces. What? We want 3 different pieces here. So we want this fun little grid, Petunia Pop grid. We want, you can use any old olive pattern that you want to. I'm going to use this one. I think that's really cute. And then we want the purple one with the flowers. Let's go. Do I have 2 pieces here? No, I'm good. All right, so that guy right there. Okay, so for the old olive piece, we're going to start with that one. This is going to be 4 1/8, and we want it to be portrait. 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay. And then for our cute little, oops, I forgot to put a few pieces in my envelope. I'll get those in a minute. All right, for our plaid, we're going to go 2 5/8 by 5 1/2. Okay, and last but not least, we have this super adorable flower pattern here, and we want 1 3/8, a real skinny piece here, by 2. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces cut. Okay, so let's start the assembly of this card. So cute, it's so pretty. All right, so we are going to start, I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do outside, and then inside, and then back. Okay, but I do actually like to start with all of my stamping. So we're actually going to do all of the stamping, and then we're going to go outside, inside, back. Okay, so we've got all of these fun pieces. First of all, we need our basic white scrap here. Okay, and then we need our basic beige scrap, which is this piece here. And we want one of our basic beige squares. Now, the scrap piece here is slightly smaller than that basic beige square. These are the 2 1/8 inch pieces. This one we cut at 2 inches. So the smaller one is going to be our scrap, okay? All right, so I think, and then we want 2 of our berry burst layers. And I think that's everything. So let's go ahead. We are going to stamp. And I'm going to pull out my messy scrap paper just because it's not a party till we pull that out, right? We are going to start with our Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad. And we have our big floral image, okay? And I'm going to start, we're just going to go ahead and stamp this anywhere. This is a white scrap piece, so we can stamp it wherever. Oh, I just inked up my pad and it is juicy. All right, so we've got that guy. And then with the black on that smaller basic beige piece, we want to stamp that smaller flower. Okay. Just like that. All right, then that should be it for our tuxedo. Okay, and then we're going to take our other basic beige square. This one is the bigger one. We're going to grab our Pecan Pie ink, and we're going to stamp in the center, "Thanks for being you." Such a sweet sentiment. This card is like a thanks card, which would be perfect for a teacher, right? I know it's like beginning of school. It's the beginning of the school year. I'm getting a little ahead of myself by what I'm about to say, but this would be a really great card for a teacher at the end of the year. Okay, then we have our 2 berry burst, 2 of our 3. We have 3 that are cut the same length. You just want 2 of them right now. I'm going to grab my chamois out, and we're going to clean off that large floral image because we are going to stamp this in berry burst ink. So because we just did it in black, we do not want to color mix, right, with our ink pads. Sometimes I find with the larger stamps, they're a little bit harder to clean. So you can just pick your chamois up and get in those little crevices. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I have small hands or what. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stamp a little pattern on these. So here's how I stamped the inside of this one. There's really no like rhyme or reason. You can do it however you'd like to. But I'm going to start here with Berry Burst. and with the big floral image. And on one of these panels, I'm going to stamp this flower in the lower right and flip it all the way around and then do it in the upper left. Okay, and then on the other piece, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to ink it up and stamp this in the upper right and then the lower left. And you can do it same, different, whatever you want to do. And then we've got this little leaf image here, and we're going to stamp those in the other corners. Just kind of wherever you want. So this is really why I wanted my messy scrap paper. If I went off the edge, then, you know, it's on my scrap paper instead of my work surface. Okay, there's that. And then we actually do have one more thing to stamp. On the back of our card, we need to stamp this sentiment here. So I forgot about that. Let me move these out of the way. And then this is our basic beige piece. That is our bigger one. So these are 1/8 of an inch difference. So the bigger one, the 5 1/4 by 4. I just had to verify. And we are going to stamp that with our pecan pie ink. And I'm just going to go right in the center of this piece. Okay, and keep it as straight as I can. That looks pretty good. If it's not straight, that's all right. Flip it over. Paper has 2 sides, right? Okay. So we've got all of these pieces. And then we want to color in those flowers that we stamped in the Tuxedo black ink. So we're going to grab our Petunia Pop and Old Olive blends. And I love this. I love that Ange designed this one on the basic beige. It's just so pretty. So fun. I often forget that like you don't have to stamp your image on a white piece of cardstock to color it in. You can stamp it on a different, like a neutral. It's so pretty. Okay, so I am coloring in the flowers with Petunia Pop blends. Okay, and I like to start with my dark blend and add a little bit of shading, and then I go back in with my light to color in the rest. You can see how I kind of color in like a circular motion, and that's just so when I hit that dark color of the blend, it blends it together, right? These are called blends because that's exactly what they do. We're going to pull that color. I made a C. That petal had a C on it unintentionally. Okay. So there's that, and then I'm going to do the other flower here quick too, or smaller flower. So I just kind of do the center, and then I go a little bit out into the petals, and then just go back in with that light. How fun is that? Just to mix and match your cardstock colors. So pretty. Okay, so that Petunia Pop is done. So then we can go ahead and go in with our Old Olive blends. And I just take that dark one and I kind of scribble this on the center of the leaf where there's that little like viney thing. Yeah, we'll just do one at a time. One at a time before I get ahead of myself, right? You want to go back in with your lighter color like soonish after you've done the dark, just so that, you know, it doesn't have too much time to dry, and so you can do that blending. But sometimes you do have a little bit of time. So you can see I did all of those petals. On my bigger flower, I'm going to do all of the petals again with the dark before I go in with the light. And it turns out okay, but I don't think you'd want to wait like a whole day or something between coloring. Not that you would, but you know. Okay. So we'll go in again with that dark. And then we'll go in with the light. And then we're going to do all of our die cutting before we move on to the assembly part. Some days I just like get so mesmerized by coloring. I like can't talk and focus at the same time. Okay. One thing that I also would really like to know with this craft along is we have designed for you 8 really awesome fun fold cards. And you know, you may have made one of these before or something, a couple of them beforehand, but I would really like to know if there are any fun folds that I'm going to teach you over the next few days that you've never done before. Like, I want to know what's brand new to you, because I'm hoping that we've found at least one that, you know, is new to you. That's kind of the goal, right? Or at the very least, if you have done them before, maybe it brings them back into your memory. It's one of those things where you do it right when you see it, and then you forget about the fold. So hopefully we're bringing some back, right? Okay, so we've got these die cut, or I'm sorry, colored. Then we want to grab our Charming Day die set here, and we are going to take a look at our dies. So we are going to die cut out both of these flowers. So we want these, and then we have our basic beige scrap. We're gonna, oops, this one's the scrap, the smaller piece. That's the scrap. We're gonna die cut out this floral image from there. Okay, and then we want to die cut out a couple of leaves from our old olive. So this leaf right here, we're going to die cut out twice. And I'm just going to double check. Oh, we want this flower, see? That's why I'm double checking. Okay, then, whoops, we want this fun little floral image here out of Berry Burst. And that is our jumbo piece of Berry Burst that we don't need all of that for, because we're just die cutting out this tiny little flower, but it's okay, we'll figure it out. You can trim it down if you want to trim it down as well. So let me go ahead and see if I can make some room. Let's do some post-it note tape on these before I die cut them. And we'll get them all ready to go. Okay. So get that one lined up there. Grab this one. And line that up, add my post-it note tape. And we're going to have to do a couple of passes here, but let me grab my machine. And it kind of fits in camera. It's a little bit big, but okay, we're going to die cut out these images. I have a little sniffle going on. Okay, so there's one. We've got this basic beige piece here. All right, we're going to run these through. Hope I'm not shaking the camera too much. Okay, let's see if I can remember where they all go back on my magnet sheet. That's always the challenge, right? Like, where does this go? All right, so there's our beautiful flower. And here's the other flower. Okay, grab this guy. Now there are some little pokey outy bits in that basic beige. I'm not going to worry about, like, the big ones I can take out, but the little ones I'm just going to leave because it's going to go behind our stamped flower. So I'm not too worried about them. Okay, there's one of our leaves, and then we're going to die cut out a second leaf and one of those flowers out of Berry Burst. Okay, so this piece I'm going to save for something else later. Right? And then let's get this leaf out of here. Beautiful. We've got this guy here. All right. Now those Berry Burst little pokey outy bits all stuck to my to my clear plate, so I'll just run those in the trash. But if yours did not stick to your clear plate, you can go ahead and clear them out. Or leave them in if you like it, but if you like the look of that. Okay, let's go ahead then and we can start assembling. We have like 453 pieces, right? We are going to start with the front. Oh my gosh, we have to do some scoring too. You're going to want your trimmer back out. I forgot about the scoring on this piece, which is super beautiful. So we are going to take this. You can pick whichever long side you want. We're going to score, just to create a little detail, we're going to score at 3/4, 7/8, and 1 inch. Okay, I'm going to turn mine clockwise, and then we're going to score again at 3/4, 7/8, and 1 inch. Can't believe I forgot about that. It's like the prettiest thing. It's not the prettiest part of the card because the whole card's really pretty. But it's like one of the prettiest features. Look at how cute that is. Isn't that fun? Just a little bit of that detailing, or you could do the raised side if you wanted to. So, so cute. Okay. All right, so let's take this. We are going to add some seal to the back. And then we're going to layer this onto the berry burst layer that we did not stamp on. Okay. And adhere that. And then we're going to take our basic beige ribbon, and you're going to tie this around and tie into a bow. The way I like to do this is I actually like to tape it to the back and tie my bow separately. So I flip this guy over and run some seal. And I run a lot of seal because I don't know exactly where I want it to go. And we're just going to tack the ends down like so. Okay, let me grab my silicone mat so that exposed seal doesn't... You know what? We're going to add the bow in a second. We're going to get this on the card front first, okay? Just so nothing goes anywhere. Add our adhesive, and then take that pecan pie piece, the big card base. We're going to add this to the card front. Now those score lines, like the intersection of the score lines on that basic beige piece, they're up in the upper left. Not sure the camera's picking them up super great, but they're up here. Okay, fold and burnish. Yeah, just like so. And then we're going to add our bow after. If you did wrap it all the way around and tie into a bow, that's fine because you can slide it around if you need to. But I think I'm going to add my bow after the fact. So I'm going to start with this basic beige floral die cut that we did. I left these little inside the pokey outy bits, I call them. I left them inside, and that's fine. I'm just going to add my dimensionals. And it's all right that they're there. So there's kind of like 3 big flowers, and that's where I'm going to add those dimensionals to. And then we're going to tack this down to the card. Okay, and I'm going to go kind of like it's a reverse L, right? It's going this way, okay? And then I'm going to take this piece that we colored and add some seal and tack this down. You know what? On this card I used Petunia Pop Blends, but I think on this one I used Berry Burst, but it looks pretty with both, but just keep that in mind. Okay, and then we've got our Early Espresso, nope, Old Olive. Those are not brown, right? Okay, we've got these leaves, and I'm going to use some mini dimensionals and tack those down onto the leaves here, just a couple of them. 1, 2, and 3. The minis are perfect for these leaves. They fit really well. Okay, peel up all of those backings. Come here, buddy. There we go. And then this one's sticking to me. Okay, because they're on that stem that's a little flimsy, I just try to hold the edge of the leaf if I can. And we're going to feed these in. So just tuck that little stem under, and then you can really attach them wherever you like. I'm going to do mine like that. I think that's cute. And then we can take our basic beige ribbon again. And I'm just going to cut off that much. I don't know. I would guess that's maybe like 16 inches or so. Probably more than I need, but we can always trim off the tails. And I'm just going to feed this under and then tie into a bow. And this way too, you can also slide the bow. If you have it in a certain spot and you want to move it, you can slide it. Okay. Come here, buddy. There we go. And that looks actually pretty good. You sometimes when I tie bows on videos, they don't always go the greatest. So that actually, like, I'm pretty pleased with that. That looks nice. Okay. So we've got that, and then you know what? Let's do the embellishments last because that's just what I do. I do the embellishments last. Okay, so we've got this piece added. Then we need to work on the inside of our card, okay? So we are going to start by taking those two berry burst layers that we stamped on, and we're going to adhere these to the inside of our card on either side, okay? So I'm just going to flip them over and add some seal. And then we'll tack these down. And I don't really mind, you know, the opposite way I did the flowers. I don't really mind if, like, which panel is on which side. Okay, there we go. And then we've got our long, skinny pecan pie strip. And we've got those 3 score lines in here. So we're going to fold valley, mountain, valley. Okay, and you can take your bone folder, whoops. Take your bone folder and burnish those folds. Okay, now this is definitely a thicker card, so just keep that in mind for mailing, okay? All right, so the mountain is going to be the middle of our card. So I'm going to flip this over, okay? And on the very end tabs, that's where I'm going to add my adhesive. So I'm just going to start with one of those, and we're going to lay this down in the card. You're going to center it vertically and just line it up, lining it up on the edge here so it's flush with the edge of the card, and tack that down. Okay, this is going to extend then all the way over, so it's going to fold like this. Isn't that cool? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to collapse this down and add my adhesive to this flap here that's visible and just close the card. Press that down. So cute. Isn't that so fun? What does Ange call this one? A center squares card. I've also heard it called a wow card because it's like a W, right? Just so fun, so cool. Okay, so then we've got these pecan pie. We've got 4 of these pecan pie squares, and we want to adhere a couple of things down, right? Let me grab the pieces we want. We want those 2 DSP squares. We want the 2 basic beige squares, and then we want that die cut berry burst flower that's down here. All right, so I'm just going to add some seal. We've got our thanks here. That's that basic beige square that we stamped on, so we want that. Then we want a piece of DSP. Luckily it's square, so if you glue on something upside down, just flip it over or flip it around. Okay, then we're going to adhere the other basic beige square. Okay, and then we're going to adhere this berry burst flower on top, and I'm going to be careful, use my seal without my silicone craft mat. Just adhere that to the center, and then we've got our other piece of DSP here. And we are going to adhere that to the center right there. Okay, so now we want to adhere these to the inside of the card. We're going to only add adhesive on these center sections. These squares don't reach all the way, so I get nervous to add my adhesive to the back here just in case, you know. So what I am going to do instead is just run some seal in the center, but not quite end to end. Okay, you can do that on all 4 of those pieces, and then we'll tack down our squares, and I just make sure that they look centered. You can measure it if you want. But once I get that first piece down, it's a little bit easier to get them lined up across the bottom. And even then, if it's not quite like perfectly centered, it's okay. It looks good if they're in a straight line, right? All right, and here's our last one. Just like that. That's so cute. Now you might be saying, Melissa, but where do you write? On the back. So we've got our basic beige piece here. We are going to take that DSP, that 1-inch DSP strip, and adhere this. Oh, adhere it the right way. There we go. It is directional, so pay attention to that. Adhere that down, and then we'll take that beautiful little stamped flower we did and adhere that like that. Okay, and then go ahead and add some seal to the back. And we are going to adhere this to the back of our card. And that is card number 1. What do you think? Definitely a wow card. Lots of pieces going on with this one. Oh, embellishments. Lots of pieces, but it's so beautiful. It is just so pretty. So we are going to use these beautiful, I believe they're Petunia Pop embellishments here. We're going to use a couple of those. So let's go big, little, and little. And that is our first card officially, now that it has embellishments. How cute is that one? All right, let me get set up real quick for our second card. All right, so let's go on to our second card here. So cute. It's so pretty. And for this one, most of our stamping is actually going to be heat embossing. So while I usually like to start with stamping, I think we're going to do it piece by piece on this one. And we're actually going to just go ahead and start with some assembly here, just so we can, you know, align some of these pieces together. So we are going to start with the Old Olive card base. Now it is just that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece, right? Because our card's actually going to open like this and then like this. So we are just going to take that Old Olive DSP, whichever piece you cut, and we're going to adhere that to our Old Olive layer. Okay, so cute. I love this pattern. The pattern that Ange used in the PDF is actually this Petunia Pop check, but in Old Olive, and that's part of the scrapbooking kit. Super duper cute. Oh, I forgot something. Uh-oh, hold on. We can still do it. I was distracted. We've got our floral DSP, here it is, and our Old Olive layer here. Here's what we want to do is we want to adhere this Old Olive, the little square piece, underneath here, and I forgot about that. So if you didn't glue yours down yet, my bad. Do this part first. We're going to make it work. Okay, so this piece here, we're going to fold it, right? We've got that little square section. This is the section that's going to get adhered inside, okay? So I'm going to add some seal, and we're going to make it work because we're awesome. And sometimes we have little tiny mishaps, right? We get distracted and we forget you have to glue something down first, and it's going to be all right. Okay, so we're going to sneak this in, and I'm going to get this glued down, and then I'm going to show you what I did, okay? So I just lined up that score line with the edge here of the Old Olive piece, and then we can glue down our DSP, and look, nobody knows. You can't even, like, originally when I peeled it, you could tell I peeled it. Now you can't. Okay, and this piece is going to flap in. I am going to burnish it with my bone folder. That's going to flap in, and it's going to hold our notebook pages. So then we're going to take that floral piece of DSP and adhere that to our little piece here, okay? And it's going to be like, you're going to have a little border on the top and the bottom, but not so much. It might even hang over a little depending on how you cut it. Not so much on the side here, and that's okay because it's going to get covered, okay? All right, so we've got that piece. Then we've got our Petunia Pop piece here. We can go ahead and fold that in half and burnish. And then we're going to add adhesive to one of the sides. And you're going to be generous with your adhesive. Okay, so we've got that adhesive added. And this is going to go in the center of this panel. So that looks pretty good to me. It's going to be flush against the top and the bottom. Okay, just like so. Then we've got this fun little grid piece of DSP that we cut, and we're going to add that to the front. And this one is going to be flush on the top. Oh, I'm out of seal. On the top and the bottom as well. But we're going to have that little margin on the sides. Okay, just like so. Let me do a quick seal replacement here. Okay, we're back in business. We've got our basic white piece, and we're going to add some seal onto that. And then this is going to get adhered to the inside piece. This is what we're going to write on. Eventually we're going to add a die cut heart to the inside, but we'll get to that later when we start die cutting. Okay, and this, look at how cute this is. On this piece, we're going to add some of that beautiful, oh, so pretty, it's so pretty, Petunia Pop ribbon. So I am just going to lay this in here, kind of eyeball how much I need. Okay, and then I'm just going to flip this so it's a little bit easier for me to tie, but we're going to tie this into a bow. And this one, because it is visible on the inside as well, I don't do that little tape trick. I actually do tie the bow, and I do like to untwist my ribbon before I start, like so. Seriously, this stuff is so nice. I love it. Okay. Ooh, that could be tighter. Let's do it again. I was not holding that tight enough. All right, try 2. Okay, so we've got that. Loop-de-loop. And there we go. That's much better. Okay, get these wherever we want. And then what's nice is you can actually kind of play with it a little bit to get that to twist the way you want it to go. It's such a nice ribbon, for real. I want this to be a little bit smaller of a bow. It's a little funky looking right now, but it'll look really cute once we start adding on all of our bits and bobs, right? Okay. So there's our cute bow. So now we get to do lots of fun stamping. Not lots, but a good amount of stamping. So let's start here with the pieces we need to heat emboss. So we've got our cute little old olive banner that was die cut for you from Stylish Shapes. And then we've got our Petunia Pop layer here. Okay. And we are going to grab, I'm going to grab my messy scrap paper just in case I spill any embossing powder. Okay. And what we're going to stamp on here are our journal lines and our cute little sentiment that says, "You've got this." So stinking cute. So we're going to take, here it is, take our embossing buddy and get any of this static off of these 2 pieces. So I'm just gonna, I kind of like to toss it until I can see the powder on there. And then just kind of rub that around, and it's just gonna help with that static so our embossing powder doesn't stick anywhere we don't want it to. Okay. And then we're going to grab our Versamark pad and stamp our pieces down. Okay, so I'm going to start with the sentiment because my sentiment when it was cut, you know, I've got a lot of extra at the bottom, so I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous to stamp it, but hey. So I know that my sentiment is actually towards the top of my stamp. I am going to get my head over this, so I apologize if I'm in the way. I want to get that stamped down. Not great, but it's not awful. And then we're going to take those cute little notes, or journal lines, ink that up, and then stamp this down. And I want to stamp it a little bit closer to the right-hand edge because we want some room on the left for that spiral die. Okay. All right. We can close this guy up. And then I'm going to start my heat tool so it has time to warm up. And grab my white embossing powder. You know, the more I look at the sentiment, the more I'm like, that's okay. When I first stamped it, I was like, that's a little crooked, but it's all right because it's going on our card crooked, so I think it'll be hard to tell. Okay, so you can see right here is where I did a little boo-boo stamping, right? Probably got the edge of the stamp inked, so you just want to rub that off. Anywhere the powder is going to set with the heat, okay? So just keep that in mind. Once it's there, it's not coming off, so once it's heat set, anyway. All right, close this up and move it out of the way. And we're gonna go ahead and heat emboss these. I love heat embossing. It's just so pretty. It's really fun with these to have those colors really pop. The Petunia Pop and the Old Olive together are just so pretty. Alright, let's see. Okay, so there's our journal lines, and then our sentiment. You want to be careful so you don't burn your fingers. So we'll do part of it. I'm going to flip it. Beautiful. It's so cute. Okay, so this piece we will need to die cut. This piece I'm just going to set on our card for now because it's done. It's ready to just be adhered on. So we've got those. And then we're going to grab our die cutting machine. And we got lots to die cut for this one, okay? Let me grab this piece and this piece, our tiny little Old Olive piece. Okay, so we are going to die cut out our notes die, and we're actually going to die cut that out a couple of times. We want once with the Petunia Pop, and then we also want a couple of times with the with Basic White. Okay, let me scooch this so I can get my Post-it note tape on. Looks good. Tape that down, and I'm going to tape up here too because it's a larger die. All right, and then I'm going to grab my Petunia Pop and my Old Olive. All right, this is pretty in pink. Oopsie poo. All right, so I don't know why I'm into saying that lately. I don't know if it's because it kind of embarrasses my niece and nephew a little bit, like if I say oopsie poo or something like that. And so I don't know if I'm just into it lately because it kind of annoys them or what. Okay, so I've got the little banners, the arrows, we want the paper clips, and then I want a star and a heart, all in pretty in pink. So I took that Old Olive off for a second so that I can just die cut all of these. And then we'll go back in because we want the, come on, there we go. We want the heart and one arrow with Old Olive as well. Okay, so this extra Petunia Pop piece I'm just going to keep for a scrap for later. Okay, peel off that Post-it note tape. So cute. I just love this set. It's just so fun. All right, we need an arrow and we want a heart. Now, the nice thing about several of these dies is that it'll actually die cut out a couple for you. So we've got 2 paper clips. So you can actually save the other one for later, which is nice. So I'm gonna, actually I'll get that out later. Okay, then we want one of these guys. We want both of the arrows and the heart and the star. The star is, or I'm sorry, the heart is going to go inside. All right, there we go. This piece you can save for later. And then we're gonna grab that gigantic Basic White piece and our journal die. I don't know if I can fit 2 right next to each other like this. Maybe I can. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. Okay, but I don't have room for the Old Olive, so we're going to just crank this through. I put it in with that blunt edge, so that's why it kind of jumped a little bit. It's a little bit easier for your die cutting machine if you put something in at like an angle. It's just easier for it to grab onto it. I think it'll fit. If I'm very careful, I think it will fit next to it. Then I've got that little Old Olive piece, and we only need one of these arrows. Just put one arrow and that heart on and crank these through. All right, say please fit, please fit, please fit. You know, sometimes you just have to gamble with your space, I guess. And just say, I think it'll work, and oh, I think it did. Look at that. That's such a fun little thing. I don't know. I just like the spiral. That looks fun. Okay, so there we go. We've got an arrow. We've got a heart. We've got another note page. Oh my goodness, so cute. All right, so let's go ahead then. We can assemble this. So I'll scoot that out of the way, get that out of the way, and let's go ahead and assemble our fun card here. So I got lots of embossing powder. Hold on a second. Got one of these little desktop vacuums. I thought I did good because I had my messy scrap paper, but desk vacuum to the rescue. Okay, so on this piece here, on one of these basic white ones, it doesn't matter which one, what we're going to do is here, I'm going to open this sample here so you can see. We are going to cut a little finger notch in that solid edge. So that's where I got my circle punch. You can use whatever, and we just want a little notch cut out. Okay. So there's that. And then we're going to stamp. So this is the back side, right? Our spirals are to the right. We're going to stamp on this piece. So we've got our Petunia Pop ink and Old Olive. We're going to stamp Happy Back to School. So cute. My niece and nephew are going to just love these cards. Because they're, going to get to be the lucky recipients, probably. And I also have a couple of teachers in my life, and so, they're just going to love them. Okay, and then we're going to stamp a couple of these cute little star images in Old Olive. How fun are those? Just a little decoration. Okay, we are going to pull out our liquid glue here in a second. Yikes, right? Love-hate relationship with that. But what we want to do is we're going to adhere these two pieces together, the two basic white pieces together. Okay, because then you have that little finger notch here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this guy. And on the side we did not stamp on. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I think it was the embossing powder. Okay, on the side we did not stamp on. We're going to add a little bit of glue to the short sides and the spiral side because we're going to create a pocket here. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Super fun. And then we're going to just layer this on to that other basic white piece. Like so, okay? We're going to keep our liquid glue close by because we are going to need it again. And then what we can do is we're going to adhere these down onto the card front, but the white piece is going to go to the back of the flap, and then the Petunia Pop is going to go to the front of the flap, okay? So I'm just going to lay this. I think that looks pretty good right there. So actually, you know what? I'm going to scoot it over even a little more because I want to see that spiral edge kind of pop off here. And I'm just going to open this, and right here, I'm just going to add a little bit of seal. Oops. Get my seal started. There we go. And lay that down. Okay. Now, everywhere on the white piece, except the very left-hand edge, is going to get covered by our Petunia Pop layer. So I'm just going to go to town, add some seal where I know it's going to get covered, and then we're going to add this Petunia Pop layer. Okay, just like that. Look how cute that is. How fun. Okay, let's real quick, we're going to take our little pretty in pink heart that we die cut and adhere this to the inside down here on the corner. So cute. Cute, 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 cute. Okay, and then I want to take our banner. This is what we're going to add first. So I've got my silicone craft mat just in case, but what's the nice thing about this is the back side we're not going to see. So on that right hand side, I'm just going to add some seal. Then we're going to take our paper clip and just feed it like a regular paper clip, but that back side is going to adhere to the seal. So that's going to hold it in place, okay? If you want to add some glue under that front portion, you can. This is very, very bendy. So you can, like a real paper clip where you can kind of bend them. And I'm just going to add, come on. I'm in that weird spot where I'm like trying not to squeeze the glue, but I need to squeeze it to get a little out. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That worked out well. I really thought it was going to like gush on me, but I think we got it. Just like the sentiment says, we got this, right? Okay, then we can add some dimensionals to the back of the banner. I like to add at least one on that paper clip just to make sure that it's stuck. Okay, peel off those backings, and then this is going to get adhered onto this Petunia Pop layer. And I'm picking that second line. You can go wherever you want, but I am making sure it's parallel to that. I just like the look of that. I think that's cute. And then we're going to take our little pink flag and add a dimensional. And then take that old olive heart and we're going to add a mini dimensional. Okay, peel the backings off of both. And then we're going to tack down. And I put the flag where it's a little bit above the top edge of the paper. I just thought it was cute. And stick that old olive circle down. Take our Petunia Pop star and add a mini dimensional. And stick this guy down over here. And then these little arrows we're going to add flat. So you can use liquid glue or seal. I'm going to test my chances with seal. So we don't need a lot. Okay, and I'm actually going to start with the old olive arrow just to get this. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to start with the pretty and pink one. We're going to go on the first full line above our sentiment, okay, over towards the left. Then I'm going to skip a line and do our old olive in the center. And then we're going to skip another line and do our other pretty and pink towards the right. Just like so. And to finish this one off, we're going to add one cute little gem here from our Petunia Pop. Right onto that heart. How stinking cute is that? And that is card number 2. How fun, right? Look how cute that is. And then it fits a little gift card in this sleeve right here. Great for a bookstore or something. Or maybe there's a little coffee ice cream shop right by my niece and nephew's school, and they love to go there for a treat. So that would be a good option too. All right, well, here are the 2 cards we made together tonight. I know it was a little bit longer of a video, but hey, it's a craft along. We are cutting everything, going from step A to step Z, plus, you know, everything in between. So I hope you enjoyed these 2 fun fold cards. They are so stinking cute. These, again, were designed by my friend Ange McKay. Super duper fun. I love them. They are just, I love, like, it's the same product and the same colors, but 2 totally different cards, and they're just absolutely stunning. So that's it for day 1. As a reminder, if you did not get the Craft Along kit and you want that PDF, you can get that 2 ways. Either place that order in my online store or buy it directly from my PDF store. And the link for both of those is in the description of this video. Otherwise, I will see you back here tomorrow for day 2. We are going to make 2 more super awesome cards. I think that's it. So, yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.